Okay. Back to the story.
Okay, well, I lined up with that Holiday Inn where they had this grass, and then beyond that there was a freeway. Well, you know what? I saw that I wasn't going to make it in there, so I said I got to make it on the other side of the freeway. So I turned, went across the freeway, and there must have been a mile of field there, and I was still going, and then there were a lot of trees, and there was like on a corner there were power lines, and then there was an open space by the power lines. So what I did, I managed to get over the power lines, and I thought, well, I'll get as slow as I can, and then just turn off of them. Well, you know what? That wind was strong, and it almost kept me on those wires. I barely missed the wires, but my canopy got tangled in the wires, and it made an explosion.
Oh my gosh.
Those wires touch. I thought I was a dead man. So I landed on the ground, and and my cousin drove and went and picked me up. But it scared the hell out of me. But you know what? I was always afraid to get into the squares, because I used to see them on every load. There was like maybe two wouldn't open. It's because people didn't know really how to pack them correctly. So I thought it's dangerous enough with the round, but then I did give into it. I think Mondo and I were the last ones to go to squares, and I did because they're more maneuverable, and even that shocked me the first time I jumped, and the damn thing opened, and it swung my legs way up towards the canopy and back, and my heart was going about 90 miles an hour, and and then the noise, and I thought, shit, I don't know, I almost sold it, but I got down on the ground and I went up again and everything was okay. But it was a hard adjustment because I had like 750 jumps on a round, and I think I have about 350 on a square, and then Mondo, you know, our equipment came in the same day and we jumped it in Tucson, you know.
Wow.
Rebels is kind of a unique club. Across the U.S., there's some very notable clubs like the Latins. Do you have a relationship with the Latins in some historical fashion?
No, I'm as close to them as I am with the Rebels. We competed all these years, and there's a hell of a bond with them. It's almost like they're one club. That's how well we know each other.
And there's a unique part about this Rebel Club because you have some wonderful assistants who cooks and set up the camps.
You know what? I'll tell you that Annie is like my wife. I lost my wife in '95, but my wife was always there to do like what she's doing. And they're not going to hear this, are they? Okay. The thing of it is that I would get on their ass. I was already out of the club. And I'd get on there. You know what? You guys should do something special for Annie and Marcella. And the damn guys wouldn't do it. Finally, they gave in and did it. They've given them recognition.
How did the ladies receive that?
Good. It was good. But it was a long time coming. She's put up with a lot. My wife put up with a lot because my wife always wanted me to quit, but she was always there for me too, and for the club, to do for the club.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's the way those two ladies are.
How do you see the club today?
You know what? Because of Ruben, that club has really progressed because he's taught so many of them to fly. And most of us, we didn't have anybody that knew anything. We just trial and error, just like when I'd go out and there was two guys that would do relative work, and I'd jump with those guys all the time, trying to do two-mans, and then from there, I think it was years later, we made the first Rebel 4-man in Mexico in the Hermosillo. We went to do an exhibition there, and that was our first 4-man in Mexico.
Do you remember who was on that?
I think it was Pinky, Tino de Anda, Tony Moreno, and myself.
And Pinky refers to?
Mel Flores. Yeah.
You were telling me earlier about some really amazing jumpers that were Latinos that got lots and lots of jumps in the very early days. Was that because of the Rebels Club, or was that individuals that?
I would say it was individuals. They had another guy too, Adam Abachuco. He was in the Rebels for a while, but he was real meticulous with his equipment, very good skydiver, and he went with the big boys. They used to jump on like 43rd and Union Hills, you know, and they were supposed to be the sky gods, you know. Well, he went with them, but he was a very good skydiver too.
In your jump history, is there any particular period of time you felt, say, the transition from rounds to squares?
Oh, that was a hell of a deal for me. In fact, I forget the name of the canopy. I had ordered it, and then I backed out because I heard so many bad things about it. But Ruben and Mondo, they bought that canopy. I forget what it was, and that canopy was known for coming apart at the seams. And I don't know if it happened to both of them. It happened to one of them. So then I called the guy back and I canceled out. And I went to Tony Frost and I told him, you know, I don't give a damn about the weight or anything. I want something that's dependable, you know, and that will last. And I got a Unit 4. No, a Unit 3. And you know what? I learned to do accuracy and everything just fine with that. But they weighed more. They were made out of good material, and I never had any trouble with that canopy. I wanted reliability, opening up.
So, who were some of your heroes in skydiving?
Well, within our group, it was Pinky and well, when Ruben came along too, and then Bobby really took it over. You know, I really admired those guys. They were really good, and I just wish that I could have been that good, but I wasn't.
But skydiving obviously has kept you entertained.
You know, when my wife passed away, I thought I'd always skydive. But when I lost her, I lost interest in that. I had cars to restore. They're still sitting in my backyard. You know, and it's like I don't really want to do it. And I used to live and breathe it. You know, that changed my whole life right there. I don't think I've ever been the same.
Well, if you were talking to this camera as if you were talking to someone who knows nothing about skydiving and happened to be at the National Skydiving Museum watching this video, what would you advise to someone who's never jumped?
Okay, I would advise most anyone to do a tandem. You know, because it's an experience like no other. It's almost as good as sex, but not quite.
We're going to quote you on that, Dan.
They will hear that one.
Any last words of advice you might have for a National Skydiving Museum? What would you see a museum being? If you go to a museum and it's about skydiving, what kinds of things do you think should be in it?
Well, I don't know, like California, you know, they were always ahead, you know, like Elsinore. But, I mean, they were the big boys. You know, they had the information. I mean, we're out in the middle of the desert, just a bunch of us trying to survive. You know, we didn't have anyone coaching us. You know, like they were making 8-mans, 10-mans. Hell, we were still making 2-mans. Because people, you know, the guys were, I hate to say it, but they were afraid to do relative work. You know, because, I mean, even some of them, they would go as base. We'd have to do everything else for them, you know. So.
Have you seen some of the new types of skydiving? The head down, upside down?
I haven't seen any of that, but what really gets me are these, I don't know what the count is now on the biggest formation. The last one that I went to see was in Eloy, and I think they made a 300 weight. And I know it's much more than that, but I don't keep up with it. You know, if I know they're going to go somewhere and they invite me, sometimes I'll go. You know, just to be with them. You know, and I appreciate the fact that they do that. They still include me. You know.
Well, everyone here at Rebels speaks very highly of you, and I appreciate your time to be able to talk with us at the National Skydiving Museum. Do you have any last kind of quirky jump stories that you might want to say?
Not right off.
Okay,
You know,
don't want to put you under pressure
You can
here.
capture more later,
I've
too.
had some terrible situations where I'm lucky that I'm walking around, because you know how they say that cats have 9 lives. I'll tell you, I surpassed that, maybe double. You know, and you know who I owe it to, and I realize that. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dan, for
Thank
being
you.
here.
Okay, thank you.